I thought it'd be fun to look at some of the specs. So obviously with the MDI and AWC just finishing, my guess would be that there would be some balance changes this week, if there is going to be any. If there's no balance changes this week, I would be very surprised. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think there's only a few things that are like really, really out of line, but I kind of wanted to make a, this isn't a tier list, okay guys? It's not a tier list, but I thought we could go through all the specs and I'll give my opinions on what I think needs to be buffed and what I think needs to be nerfed and what I actually think is in a really, really good spot. It's not a tier list, guys. I know it looks like a tier list, but this is not a tier list. This is just a category. This is just how we separate different classes, okay? Kind of a tier list. It's really not a tier list, guys. There's nothing about this that's a tier list. Let's hear tier list and it'll be a list. Okay, here we go. Without further ado, I'm actually just gonna go straight up in order. Now, this might upset some people, but okay, so right now, we're seeing a little bit of a rise in Blood Death Knights, right? We're seeing a little rise in Blood Death Knights, and I don't like it. I feel like this is my own personal opinion, okay? I feel like if there are some tanks viable in Arena, this is how I think. If there are some tanks viable in Arena, then they should all be viable in Arena. That's what I think. So the fact that Blood DKs are actually viable and super good, I think they actually need legitimately big nerfs. I don't want to see Blood DKs. I might be biased. You love Blood DK? I'm sorry. The only way I think Blood DK can stay the way it is if they buff all the other tanks. Otherwise, I don't want to see it. With that in mind, you have both Unholy DKs and Frost DKs, which I think are both in need of slight buffs. I think their representation isn't great. I don't think they need like desperate help, but I think some slight buffs are definitely warranted for both of these specs. It's unfortunate that a lot of people feel like Blood DK is actually the best Death Knight spec, but I don't like that. Screw Blood DKs. Don't like them. Get them out of here. And I would rather see both Frost and Unholy get some slight buffs. Frost DK slaps and Blitz. I know. There are situations where I feel like DKs are definitely not bad. Like the utility DK is definitely good in Battleground Blitz, but this is more Arena. I'm talking about Arena, not necessarily Blitz. And I know it can be really hard to differentiate the two, but yeah. What should get buffed? I don't know. Not my job. Like, I feel like there's a window. Like, what do I think should be buffed? Like, I think DKs just need a little bit more damage, a little more single target damage, less AoE, kill the whole team, maybe a little bit more single target damage. And then I would like to see Frost DKs get some damage outside of their one shot. I think things like Obliterate do nothing. I mean, of course, buffing Obliterate would buff their one shot, which is unfortunate, but I think they need to find a way to make DKs do a little bit more damage outside of their one shot, with outside of their cooldowns. I think would be solid. All right, let's keep going. Let's pick one that I think is actually in a good spot right now. Doesn't really need any changes. Ooh, this is a nice one. This is nice. You know what? I think Demo. I think Demo is actually in a good spot. Like, it feels strong, fun to play. It can situationally be OP, but it can also situationally feel a little weak. I like it. I feel like Demo is in a good spot right now. Demo needs slight nerfs, IMO? Nah, I don't think so. All right, let's keep going. This is fun. Oh, this is gonna be one of my. This isn't even a tier list, but this is gonna be controversial. This is gonna be absolutely controversial. But you know what? We got some. Let me open up my little solo shuffle. Take a look here. My representation thing really quick. Solo shuffle stats. All right, we're gonna look at 2400 plus. All right, balance druids. I think balance druids. I want to say they don't need any changes. You know, some balance druids think that they need some defensive buffs. Could be a need help or also slight nerf. It depends. I feel like balance druids are a weird one where, like, Balance Shards are a weird one where I feel like their damage is sky high, but they still lack a little bit. Boomy Outlaw is immortal. Yeah, Boomy Outlaw. Outlaw. It's just like when people talk about mages, like, oh, Rogue Mage is OP, Feral Mage is OP. Yeah, that's right, but I mean, it's not when you don't have that stuff, you know? I think, so the only thing I think Boomkins could use is some slight defensive buffs. That's what I'll say. Slight defensive buffs, maybe Frenzied Regeneration. I agree with you, Knight. I think Frenzied Regeneration and Renewal could use like some slight buffs. But I feel like Boomkins are kind of like, they feel semi-balanced in a way. No pun intended. Next up, let's do Windwalker Monk. Windwalker Monk I think needs slight buffs. You know what, I'm gonna do slight buffs / changes. Slight buff / changes. I think Windwalker Monks need their damage moved around a little bit. I know people don't like Windwalker Monks, but they probably need slight defensive nerfs, but I think their burst needs to go up. I think you could maybe tone down their consistent damage a little bit, but I think they need higher burst. Personally. Yeah. It's horrendous to play against it as a lock. Yeah. But I don't know. The way you do damage on Windwalker Monk is really gross. I don't like what's it called? The Celestial Conduit. Celestial Conduit, where you like start pounding on the ground. It's really unfun in PvP because your damage is split on pets, which is just so goofy. You have like your number one damage ability doesn't do any damage if there's pets around, which is all the time, you know? It's like you want to try to isolate it, and then it probably does too much damage, isolation, but most of the time it's just doing nothing at all, which sucks. So I feel like Windwalker Monks, they need to have like a little bit of a higher punch and probably be a little squishier. I think they're a little too tanky, personally. Let's see here. What would you guys put for Frost Mage? I kind of feel like Frost Mage is in a good spot. You guys think it's too good? I think it's in a good spot. I think no change is needed. I mean, in an ideal world, if you guys want my true opinion about Frost Mages, they need to remove Frostbite. Frostbite's completely toxic and OP, but all things aside, I feel like it's strong. You know, like basically what I want to see is all the classes be A tier. Like at the end of this, what I want is everything to be A tier. You know, I feel like that's what I'm gonna kind of work towards. We can go with Marks Hunters. As much as I hate Marks Hunters, I think they need help. Well, needs God. I'm gonna say not needs help. I think Marks Hunters need some solid buffs. Truthfully, I think they just need more damage. Their single target damage is a little bit too low. Yeah, I don't think they need God, but I definitely think some of their bursts could go up. So this is like okay, what else? Ret Paladins. What do we think about Rets? My instinct is to say Rets need no change. But I think the Rets are going to be mad at me. Follow your heart. Yeah, I don't think Rets really need buffs. Oh, not this again? Yeah, Rets are fine. Slight nerf? No. You said follow my heart? Alright, let's go. Havoc Demon Hunter. Havoc Demon Hunter, I think, needs slight buffs. Very, very slight buffs. I don't even know what they need, but they need... I feel like they need... Yeah. Slight buffs, definitely. Havoc Demon Hunter does not feel that bad. I swear it feels to me that it's close to being really, really, really strong. I don't know exactly what it needs, but... it needs something. They just die to air at the moment. Do they? They die to air. Yeah, maybe they need a little bit more damage reduction. I'm not really sure. I don't know if they die to air. Do they? I don't know what they need. I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what they need, but I think Demon Hunters need some slight defensive buffs. Slight. Feral Druids. Do we think Feral Druids are in a good spot, guys? Or are they still a little too OP? Nerfs. They need slight nerfs. What should be nerfed about them, though? I'm trying to think of, like, what is actually... Like, what do you want to nerf about? They need big nerfs. Their bleed damage, their dots. Alright, so I guess they need some slight nerfs. It makes sense, right? I said I want to make everything A tier, so I definitely think Feral Druids are still in S tier. Put a cooldown on clone, nerf their defenses, their consistent damage is too high. See, like, okay, you guys hate them. Alright, yeah. Alright, Feral Druids, slight nerfs, potentially. Let's go with Enhancement Shamans. I think Enhancement Shamans don't need any changes. What do you guys think? I think they're in a good spot. Buff defensives? I don't think Enhancement Shaman needs defensive buffs. I'm putting no shot they need defensive buffs. Hell no. Absolutely not. They need Mortal Strike? You guys are crazy. Enhancement Shamans do not need any buffs. I feel very strongly about that. I don't know if I'm biased because I'm a mage, but like, that class is immortal. Elemental Shaman also, I feel like... Honestly, Ellie Shaman could probably use some nerfs, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's okay. You think it needs nerfs? Nerf Ellie Burst? I'm a Shaman main now. Like I said, I want every class to feel like A. Everything should feel really good. Let's look at some healers really quick. So for healers, I think Disc doesn't need any changes. I think it's in a good spot. I think Paladin is in a good spot. Would we agree with that? Like, I feel like, and Mistweaver. I think Mistweaver too feels really good. I think Priest, Paladin, and Mistweaver all feels really, really good. We need God. Prez Evoker. Do you guys think Prez needs buffs? I don't think so. I think Prez is good too. Yeah, Prez is fine. So most of the healers actually feel really good. I would still see that Holy Priest. I think Holy Priest needs God. We gotta be honest. I think Holy Priest needs God. I think they're the first thing that needs God. Needs help. Ironically, the Holy Priest needs it the most. What is this tier list for? So guys, once again, I just want to reiterate, this is not a tier list. This is just a discussion of what I think is good and what I think is bad and what needs changes. Ideally, we saw patch notes on Friday, what I would want. Resto Shaman? Resto Shaman, I think, needs slight buffs. Yeah, I feel like Resto Shaman needs some slight buffs. Make Resto Shaman Earthshield purgeable. You could do that. You know what I think they could do for Earthshield as well? So Shaman have a talent. Actually, it's kind of awkward right now. So one of the things that changed with Earthshield in this expansion is when you Earthshield, it eats through the charges, right? Like you start at 12 charges or whatever, and it goes down, 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 down. When you refresh Earthshield at low charges, it heals for a lot. So you have to keep Earthshield on a target and then let it get eaten, let it get eaten, let it get eaten, then refresh it. And that's a big part of your healing. So when that gets purged, it actually completely screws you. So I kind of wonder if like it should trigger when you purge it. Like the heal should trigger if you purge it or something like that. If you purge off the Earthshield, at least it triggers that heal. I think would be really, really nice. Yeah, even if it was like 50% of the heal, I don't know what, but I do think that's a big problem with Resto Shaman right now, where when you're not getting that Earthshield healing, your healing feels a little bit low. From my own personal experience. No changes needed on Mistweaver is crazy. What do you mean? You think Mistweaver Monk needs buffs? I think Mistweaver is great. It's like one of my favorite healers to play and play with. All right, Resto Druid. Resto Druid, I'm on the fence on. Like, does Resto Druid need God? Do you think Resto Druid needs the helping hand of God? Nah, slight buffs, slight buffs. I think Resto Druid needs a rework, honestly. I would agree with that. I feel like Resto Druid. So Resto Druid, and on that note, Fire Mage, in my opinion. Remove Heart of the Wild. I do think Heart of the Wild is giga toxic. I don't like Heart of the Wild, personally. But yeah, I think both Fire Mage and Resto Druid are in a kind of an awkward position where I just think they suck and they need a rework a little bit. I think they're like clunky. Fire Mage especially. I don't think you can really just like keep slapping damage on Fire Mage. I guess you could, but I think it'll just get to the point where it's like stupid OP. I think what they really, in my personal opinion, what I'd like to see for Fire Mage is less ability, less ways to get Pyroblast, because you're basically just shitting out Pyroblast the entire game, and make your Pyroblast hit harder, you know? Things like Hypothermia I think are OP, I think it's just bad design they should get rid of. Lone Char says Resto Shaman is worse than Resto Druid. I don't know, I'll leave it at this. I think Holy Priest, Resto Druid, Fire Mage all needs God. I think Fire Mage is trash. What about Ignite? Well, Ignite is really awkward because it's a dot that has no dispel protection. I don't really like that. I mean, I guess you could just make Ignite better and better, but I'm not sure. Does Need God mean rework / huge buffs? It's both. But you apply it 24/7? Yeah, but like with the way Ignite works is you build up to a big one, right? Like Ignite changes based off how much damage you're doing. So if you dump a bunch of damage and then it gets dispelled, you can't really work up to another big one, you know? Can you check the number of rets above 2400 and tell me that they're fine? Sure. Right here. Solo Shuffle, 2400. 30 rets. There's more rets than Asa, Arms, Unholy, Outlaw, Demon Hunter, Survival, Windwalker Sub, and check 3s. I don't really, I mean, yeah, okay, sure, we can look at 3s. I feel like people don't play 3s though. It's still not that bad. Top 1000, 24 rets. Top 500, 8 rets. Three's dead versus perm multi-class as low as 1900. Yeah, I'm not saying, I don't think 3s is dead, but like, I don't know. I feel like most people care about shuffle more than 3s. I can show you the world. All right, Devastation Evoker, I think needs no changes. I think Devastation is in a good spot. What are your guys' thoughts? It probably does too much damage, but I think it needs to be a damage bot. I think Dev is a damage bot. I think it's in a good spot. Leave it alone. Beast Mastery Hunter. I honestly want to say the Beast Mastery Hunter's in a good spot and it doesn't need any changes. That's what my gut is telling me. No way, it needs slight nerfs. You think so? Ben's trolling? Wait, I'm not trolling. BM is an abomination. I'm leaving BM. This is my. Please don't put us back in Boomy prison. I'm not doing anything. I said, all I said was Boomy needs, I think Boomy, so my explanation of Boomy is Boomy needs like maybe a little bit of Frenzied Regeneration and a little bit of Renewal. Love. Other than that, I think it's okay that Boomies are squishy, because if they're not, I'm going to tell you guys something. There's nothing more toxic than an immortal Boomkin sitting on your face with infinite haste, cloning you the whole game. It might be the most toxic thing in WoW. A Boomkin that can't die, just sitting there cloning all game, is stupid. They need to die. They have to be able to die. BM needs a change, not a buff or a nerf. Alright, let's see. What else we got here? Shadow Priest. I hate Shadow Priest a lot. I'm gonna be honest. I think they're way too tanky, but that might be a Holy Paladin problem. I'm gonna put them at fine for now. I don't like them though. I don't like Shadow Priest. Their survivability, I think, could be nerfed. So here's the problem. The problem with Shadow Priest, whatever, WizK, I don't want to hear it. The problem with Shadow Priest, and this is why Shadow Priest Shadow Priests were similar to how Warlocks were in the past, where if you're a bad Shadow Priest and you're not tanky, you just die. Everyone runs at you. You're dead every game. Very unfun. But then when you're actually really good and you start, you know, always fading at the right times and weaving in your flash heals and, you know, doing the right things, then you just become immortal. In particular, I think that the combination of Holy Paladin and Shadow Priest is actually broken. I think it's too survivable. My own personal opinion, like I said, it's similar to, I think Frost Mage Paladin is the same, for the record. Too survivable. But yeah, that might just be a Paladin thing. All right, let's see here. Survival Hunter. What do we think about Survival Hunter, guys? Do you think it needs buffs? I think it does. Not really. Survival's good. Do you think Survival's in a good spot? Survival's just like not existent in threes. Look at this. In 3v3 in the top 500, there's 0 survival. Oh, it's melee. Oh, okay, that's there. Yeah, it's fine. All right, fuck survival. It's good. Doesn't need anything. Chilling. You got BM and survival. Chilling. Whenever I fight against a survival hunter, it feels good, so we're gonna leave it there. Why'd you play survival when BM is an option? I don't know. Sub Rogue. What do we think about sub? Is it finally in a good spot? Does it need help? It needs God? It definitely does not need God, man. What? F sub rogues needs a rework. I don't like sub, honestly. You put it in the bin. I play Asa. Sub rogue needs slight buffs or whatever. Fine, I'll put it at slight buffs. It needs changes. This is what. So slight buff / changes. This is kind of a bucket. I feel like it's good to explain this. This is kind of a bucket. Like sometimes I think things just need a rework. Needs God / you know what I'm gonna do? It needs God, massive rework. That's where I think Fire Mage is at. Affliction Warlock. I don't think any changes are needed. I think Affliction's really good. I think it's kind of like a glass cannon right now. Frosty K needs God. I don't think so. That's cap. What about Outlaw? Outlaw, what are we thinking about Outlaw? Needs slight nerfs or no changes needed? Is Outlaw as good as Feral? What would you nerf? I don't know. Slight nerfs. Only does well in tournament play. Yeah, I think it's fine. No changes needed for now. Like I said, when it's played by the best players in the game, it needs slight nerfs. When you're average, then doesn't need nerfs. Yeah. Nerf hammer. What about Asa? No changes needed. Does Asa need buffs? I don't think it does. Buff, buff, buff. You really think Asa needs buffs? It's doing well in most parts of the game right now. Hell no? Well, let's look. So, in Shuffle, Asa's the most represented rogue spec. It's over double Outlaw in 2400. And in Arena, let's look at the top 500. It's also doing really well. I don't think it needs buffs. I wouldn't say it needs buffs. If I'm not buffing red, I'm not buffing Asa. Destro. What do we think about Destro? I'd say Destro needs some slight buffs. I'm okay with that. Destro getting some slight buffs. I don't really know what you buff about them though. Need something. Make Chaos Bolt matter. Chaos Bolt does matter. You guys, Dark Pack and Immolate. I could get on board with a Dark Pack Immolate buff. Maybe Chaos Bolt. Chaos Bolt, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Chaos Bolt hits so hard. And the thing about Chaos Bolt is you can slang multiple together. That's what makes it so crazy. Sometimes you can actually have a Havoc up and Chaos Bolt 3 times in a row in like 2.5 seconds. You get 6 Chaos Bolts out in under 3 seconds. I think I think Chaos Bolt is just problematic. That almost never happens. Yeah, but can. I don't know. I feel like they need slight. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not deciding what needs to change, but I could definitely see them getting some slight buffs. Okay. I can argue for Shadow Priest that I'd like to trade some survivability for damage buffs. You think Shadow Priest needs more damage? Interesting. Okay. Fury Warrior. I think Fury Warrior's in a cringe tier list. This isn't a tier list, actually. You guys, this may look like a tier list, but it's not. Fury Warrior, I think it's fine. Arms Warrior. You guys think Arms Warriors need buffs? I don't even know. Arms needs defensive buffs. They get 1 shot. Really? Like, they need help? Arms? What do they need? Like, really? Arms needs God? I feel like Arms Warriors, if they're good with D-stance, they don't just die. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel conflicted. I'm playing at 2500 and Arms dies. Yeah. I mean, things gotta die though, right? Like, what do you mean Arms dies? Mage main talking about Warriors. I play a lot of Warrior, actually. Omega Cow stepping up. Yeah, Omega Cow, he's a fan favorite, man. Hunters have 5 defenses and Warriors ignore Pain Shield is 500k. Okay. Maybe Warriors could get some... Arms Warrior could get some slight... I feel conflicted about this, but slight defensive buffs on Arms. I think Fury's fine. I'm not gonna lie. Havoc and small changes is kind of troll. I don't think Havoc's that bad, actually. I think it's yeah, I don't think it's that bad. Oh, Arcane. Arcane, I think, needs slight buffs. Not that much, though. Minimal. Slight. I don't really know exactly what it should get, though. I think you could make it... I think you could buff Orb, maybe. Orb does more damage. Really got to move BM Hunter to slight nerf. You think so? Fury Warrior could use a slight nerf? Really? Can we revisit Dev Evoker? They need to bring back clear casting from Spellsteal. That's what they need. Yeah, bring back the clear casting from Spellsteal and I'll be a happy camper. I think we need a buff Ret, 50% on Shield of Vengeance, maybe 10% damage overall, 25% Templar, so you can burst again. What do you think, Sturge? You know what, Sturge? You'll be the... I'll believe you. Sturge, do you think that BM Hunters... Be honest. Do you think BM Hunters need slight nerfs, or do you think they're actually in a pretty decent spot right now? What would you say? I'm gonna let Absurge have the final say. Define slight? I don't know, like minimal. Like, you know, we're talking like a couple percentage points on some stuff. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy, just like a few percentage points here and there, you know? Nice jar. Thanks, man. What do you guys think? All right. Time's up. Let's do this. I think a small damage nerf would be fine. Maybe another black arrow so they have less cleave. Yeah. All right. We'll put it there. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this isn't like I said, this is not a tier list. This is not a tier list. This is like, this is what I want to see. All right. So what we want to see on Friday, if there are patch notes, I think we want to see some Holy Priest buffs, Resto Druid buffs, Fire Mage buffs, Unholy Decay, slight buffs, and slight buffs for Unholy, Frost, Boomy, or changes. Slight buffs / changes for Windwalker, Marks, Havoc, Resto Shaman, Subtlety Rogue, Arms Warrior, Arcane Mage, Subtlety Rogue. I already said that. Arcane Arms Warrior. I already said that too. Destro Warlock. I don't know if I said that. And then I think all of these classes are in a pretty good spot right now. Demo, Frost, Ret, Enhance, Ellie, Disc, Mistweaver, Paladin, Prez, Dev, Shadow Priest, Survival Hunter, Affliction, Outlaw, Asa, Fury. And then maybe some slight cleave nerfs to BM and Fury, or to BM and Feral. Fury needs a small nerf. You know, a lot of people complain about Fury. Maybe my perspective on Fury is a little bit different. But yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it here for now. It might be on the strong side, depending on what you fight against, but there it is. So do you guys think, is there anything on this list that you guys think is totally off, or what? Looks good?